So you said that you didn't need any Knicks talk, but then we got into a little Knicks talk. It is what it is. Your boys are 500 playing well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, hopefully, for what it's worth, when the Knicks are good, it's better for the NBA. I feel
Oh yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
playing in the play. We saw it a couple years ago when Trey Young. I mean, you guys lost, but
No,
just
but
the
even still,
atmosphere
yeah,
in Madison Square Garden, like it
crazy.
makes the NBA better. So I'm
Everybody
with you.
talked about it. Everybody
Yeah,
talked about it. Like that became a rivalry. Like the Knicks Hawks had not been a rivalry in the history of
exactly.
the Knicks Hawks. But like now, every time he comes to the Garden, yo, it's like he gets super booed.
Yep,
Everybody's going crazy. And that's like a big ticket. So yo, and like the things like that get created at Madison Square Garden because the fan base is so rabid. And that's what
absolutely.
that's what you gotta love about it. The league loves it. Everybody around the league loves it because whether you're rooting for the Knicks or like against them, like or just you like to just like see us suffer. It's all good for the league, yo. It's all
Yeah.
good for the league.
No, you're absolutely right. So what's wild is the NBA, the NBA in the first few weeks, I feel like has been kind of boring. I mean, the Bucks are good,
Yep,
Cleveland's good,
yep,
Utah's good,
yep.
Brooklyn's bad, Philly's
Yeah.
bad, Lakers bad, and it's just kind of been same old same,
Yeah.
week in and week out. Um, but speaking of one of those good teams, the Jazz. I mean,
Right.
they burned everything down. They got rid of Donovan Mitchell. They got rid of Rudy Gobert, and it's just kind of like, all right, it's a rebuilding year, you
Yeah.
know.
We
But here
thought.
they are. Yeah, so we thought, and here we are, and the Utah Jazz are what 9-2 and first in the West.
First.
I mean, it really doesn't make sense. I thought that they would start coming back down to earth already, but
Yeah.
they just continue to win.
These are
So
not fluke wins. And they're
yeah,
not fluke wins either. They're good quality wins.
they're
And they got the
beating
players.
they're beating quality teams, and like you look at their roster, like top to bottom, honestly, they're not. It's not a bad roster.
I don't. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, yo, and then like just looking at the numbers, like I'm saying to myself, why did we even think this team was going to be so bad? Like, yeah, they traded their two best players, but and not to bring the Knicks into it, like this is why the trade made more sense for Cleveland and for Utah because they get back marketing. He's leading the team in scoring, averaging 22 points a game. That is a surprise. Nobody saw that coming. Jordan Clarkson gonna probably win Six Man of the Year again. Coming off the bench, he's averaging 18 a game. Colin Sexton, reborn, healthy now. He's
Yes,
at
yes,
14 and looking like he's looking like the player that we thought we were going to get in Cleveland before
yeah,
Darius Garland got there. Now
yep,
Colin Sexton, we're seeing like, there's some meat on that bone. Mike Conley having a little bit of a resurgence. He's averaging 12 a game. Olynyk, he's averaging 12 a game. Malik Beasley, he's averaging 10. They got Jared Vanderbilt in the Timberwolves trade.
yep.
He's grabbing boards and averaging 10 a game like he usually does. Taylor Horton Tucker, they got him in a trade. Like, I
Yep.
mean, they were breaking everything down, and now it's coming together. All the pieces they got back are already coming together to look like something good. My only thing is, uh, what with a draft like this that's coming in, and everybody knows about the Victor Wembanyama kid
Yes, sir.
and Scoot Henderson. Those are the top two picks. But even outside of that, the whole top 10, there's a lot of good college players, some guys that came back that are in their
Yep.
sophomore year, and it's a lot of really talented freshmen like Nick Smith and there's another kid, I forget his name, something black. He's up. They're both on Arkansas. They got these two like top freshmen, and both of those kids are going to come out and go to probably top 10. So it's like Utah. How far do you want to go with this?
Yeah.
What do they do? Do they bust this up if it's too good? Are you selling your fan base short? I thought it was a really interesting topic. I wanted to talk about it.
So that's the thing. They've been winning, and you just ran through the roster. They have a very solid roster.
Yeah,
The issue for me is in today's NBA, you have to have a superstar, if
have
not
to.
two. And at least not right now, they don't have that. They don't have the
Yeah,
player who strikes fear in the opponent's heart. They don't have a
right.
player that you can roll the ball out there and say, "Hey, we need 12 straight points from you in the fourth quarter. Like, we need you
Yeah,
to take over the game and win it for us. They're just playing solid, sound basketball, and it's working. I mean,
yeah,
it's working. So that's really my concern. It's just it's and kind of to your point, it's going to get to a point where Danny Ainge in that front office, they're kind of going to have to make a decision. Like,
yeah.
do we have a good enough team now to go all in and be like, all right, maybe we need to add a piece or two so that we can make a run at a chip? Or are they just thinking this is kind of fluky and
Yeah.
they're hot right now and they'll
I'm
cool
curious
down?
what
Or
they feel in that building. Exactly. That's what I'm most curious about is how the front office is viewing this. Like, are they sitting there like, man, everybody wants this kid,
yes,
Wembanyama.
as they
Everybody wants
should.
him, and you got teams that like are that don't even have first round picks that are like the most in contention for them. The Lakers, Brooklyn. I don't even think Brooklyn or LA have a pick next year.
I don't
Orlando,
think so either.
yeah, Orlando is up. Is up there, and you got these guys that all the teams that consistently pick at the top of the draft, and then
Mm-hmm.
you got teams like this that they set up for this. And you would
Yes.
think that all of that Danny Ainge did over the summer was to set up to get this guy, and it's funny to me that it didn't work out like that. They
Yeah, I
just
mean,
defied all orders.
but that's the thing, and I feel like we've talked about it on this show, is that players and coaches don't tank,
No,
because at the end of the day, like, if players go out there and they tank, that film is forever. So if
yeah,
they're trying to get another contract, if they're trying to go someplace else,
yeah,
they look at those numbers, they look at
yeah.
your highlights, they're like, bro, you stink. Like, why am
He
I
was
why
picking
am
it
I
up last time he was out there.
yeah, so why am I going to pay? So players are never going to go out there. And same thing with coaches. They're not going to go out and lose 60 games, because who knows if they get another head coaching job.
Exactly.
So it is Danny Ainge. It is the front office.
Right.
It's ultimately on them to determine whether or not this team is good enough to make a run, and
Yeah.
then make decisions from there.
It will be
And
unprecedented to blow up a good team. Like
exactly. Exactly.
like that
Because
that's honestly what I'm rooting for. Is that they're sitting somewhere like around February trade deadline and they're like still third or fourth in the
yeah,
East. And they're like,
yeah.
yo, we gotta just get Marketing out of here. Like we're gonna keep winning. So like what? We gotta get him out. We gotta trade Colin. Like what do we do? What are we gonna do? It's so crazy. They have to decide who of all. It's a team full of glue guys. They're playing great team
Yes.
basketball, as you said. So they gotta decide like who are the guys that I want to go forward with so that I can lose enough, but not that much, so that when when I add a superstar in the draft, because nobody is in free agency signing to go to Salt Lake City, to go to Utah. Nobody.
Exactly.
So they
Yeah.
have to win in the draft. And
And
that's why it's really interesting to me. Like I'm curious to see how this all plays out.
so, I mean, trade deadline, do they just break it up? Do they look for more draft picks? I don't know what they do in terms of that, because right now, who's a big time free agent? I mean, Russell Westbrook has been
Yeah,
talked about. AD, who we'll get into, he's
yeah,
been rumored. Draymond Green, they're talking about getting rid of him. Miles Turner, like, do any of those guys move the needle either
yeah,
way, or are you just cleaning house because your team is playing too well, and
yeah.
then you're bringing in somebody that isn't a bona fide superstar, I guess, and then crossing your fingers and hoping that you hit in the draft? Like, it's a tough situation. It's
A
I
very difficult
you
situation to
know
navigate for them. Because it's
yeah,
like again, and I made that point before too. Like you're selling your fans short too. If like you're trying to get somewhere for them to get to the ultimate goal, but right now they're having a blast. The fans don't get they're having a blast.
yeah.
They want to go to winning basketball games. That's what they're paying for. So it's just going to be interesting. I'm curious. My heart tells me that Age is just going to let it rock, and that they're just going to see like, hey, maybe this thing cools down on its own, and everything will naturally come into order. And because there's no way you can trade up or anything. Like he has all those picks. It's not like he can give every future pick. He can give every pick they have to give up to that number one. No one will give it up if they don't have it. So
Yeah.
that's why it's like Oh my God, it's gonna
I
be
mean,
interesting.
for what it's worth, Danny Ainge is a fraud anyway. We saw him fumble the bag in Boston. He got the
Yeah,
one championship, but you know, AD didn't want to go there. Jimmy Butler didn't want to go there. Like
yeah,
he had all those draft picks. Like Danny Ainge stinks. So I feel like
yeah,
he's gonna fumble this bag. And as we know, Utah is Utah. So they're
yeah,
gonna figure out a way. They're gonna
yeah.
figure out a way to screw this up.
Exactly. Nobody's going there in the draft. Are in free agency.
In free
You have to.
agency,
They
yeah.
have to win in the draft, and they have drafted well traditionally. But this year, you need that number one pick, dog. Even if they win with this roster that they have got together now, and
Hmm.
they can't just go get some number 14, 15 pick. That's not going to do it for you because that'll just put
Yes,
them right back here next year, or
exactly.
even, or maybe everybody else gets better and they regress. So again, difficult to
Yes.
navigate. I feel for you, Danny.
Yeah, I definitely don't envy the situation that they're in.
Would have want
And
that job.
again, I just don't trust over the years of Heat Check. I've told y'all that I don't trust Utah. It doesn't matter how good they are, it doesn't matter what seed they are, I just don't trust them.
Don't care.
So I feel like at some point they will regress, they will come back down to earth. I mean, I think they're a playoff team,
They got
but
9 wins right now. That's like halfway to. That's over halfway to what's going to be probably the league's low in wins. The
eh,
league, whoever has the league low will win probably 19 to 25 games.
that's
Somewhere
very possible.
22 will probably be like the absolute, if it, the highest low that will be.
And to think it's the Lakers and Orlando battling, and somebody else I think has 2 wins
Yeah.
or 1 win.
Are they? Yeah. Right. Was Houston? Is it?
It
I
might
think
be
Houston might
Houston.
have two as
Yeah.
well.
So it's rough. It's rough in the cellar of the NBA right now. Everybody
Absolutely.
vying for that lottery ping pong ball to bounce their way. So just like matter of fact, I'm mad that I didn't hit the Powerball
Oh my
because
God.
and I know I'm getting off topic, but the Powerball hit, and prior to it hitting, they said that like a day before, they said that there was technical difficulties and they weren't
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
able to air it. And immediately, I was like, somebody's going to hit it tonight. That feels fishy to me, honestly.
It's skeptical. My mom and I were talking about this. I got questions. They're like, what are we even doing out here? You got technical difficulties, and now you just you restart the machine, you take out the cartridge, put it back in, and then now what? You got a
Exactly,
winner? Come on, man.
exactly. That I
Playing with
mean,
my
that's
money,
all I'm
dog.
saying. That's all
Yeah,
I'm saying.
playing with the money.
um, so going back to trade talks, one of the players who recently came up in trade discussions was Mr. Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers. As we mentioned, Lakers only have 2 wins currently, and they don't look like they're going to be getting any better anytime soon, unless there's major changes to that roster. So with Anthony Davis apparently being on the trade block or open for discussion at least, what do we think the market is for Anthony Davis? Do we actually think he's going to be traded? Because for all intents and purposes, he's played well when he's been on the court.
Right.
But that's the issue, is that it's hard keeping him on the court.
On and off. And who wants that problem, right? So
Exactly.
if you're asking me what his market is, I think his market is exactly that. Like, there, yes, teams would love to have him, but will I have him? That's going to be the
Yeah.
question that every front office is asking. And then I think that in a way is going to drive the price down. Like, I saw a Bleacher Report trade simulation with the Knicks that had like multiple draft picks, R.J. Barrett, Quentin Grimes, and Obi Toppin. And then like
Definitely not.
I was like, there's absolutely no way. Like it's insane. Like who do they think this guy is? Shaq? Like what are
Yeah.
you talking about?
And I think that's part of the issue with him and with Russell Westbrook is the Lakers, if they truly are shopping the both of them, they're gonna bank on, 2-time MVP Russell Westbrook. Like that's how they're gonna
Right.
try to package him and be like, oh, we need all these picks, we need all these players in order for you to get them. And it's like, bro, like, have you watched him play? Have you have you seen him play recently? Like
Yep.
we're definitely not giving up all of that. And then the same thing with AD. Anthony Davis is a long rim hang away from tweaking his back and being out for 2 weeks. So like
Exactly.
while he's a great player, you can't mortgage your entire team's future because you think Anthony Davis or Russell Westbrook or whoever is going to come in and play at a level that we haven't seen him play in multiple years.
It makes sense. Makes total sense to me. I just think that, like I said, his play is his play. Everybody knows that you're going to get a really good player when he's on the court. But
Yeah,
it's all going to be about what the asking is from the Lakers, whether or not they do it. Obviously, their positioning and whether or not LeBron approves it. I mean, LeBron's going to have to okay this. That's going to be a situation where Rob and Jeannie are going to have to pass that by on the low. Hey LeBron, you want to go to dinner? We gotta talk about something.
yeah.
Because LeBron's locked in. That's who you keep of the two. He's on the end of his career, but you want to try to build something for him, before he's done. So and Anthony Davis is the only piece they have to doing that. They need to try to acquire some future draft picks. How much? I don't know what they're going to be able to get. I would say that Anthony Davis should get you at least one first round pick.
You would think.
I would think, and maybe you could get some young players or some expiring contracts to maybe help you this year. I don't know. They need to get younger. The
They're
Lakers,
the Lakers are in a terrible spot, man. And
horrible spot.
I know
No
this
draft
wasn't.
picks for I don't even know when. They got no draft picks for like 5 years.
Yeah, they gave up everything for Russell Westbrook, and it's
And
just like
AD,
it's and AD. It's just one of those things where like LeBron in year 20. I mean, first and foremost, the Lakers won a championship. Like ultimately,
yes,
that's the goal.
they did.
And similarly, I had a conversation with Sean recently. Similarly, it's the same as what we saw with the Rams in the NFL, where they're like, "Hey, we have a window. We're gonna go all in. We're gonna
Yeah,
pay whoever we need to pay. We're gonna pay whatever taxes, luxury taxes, whatever.
what?
But we have a window right now, a window to win, and they did. And ultimately, that's all that matters. So the
Yeah,
Lakers in 2020, they won the championship, and um, I'm sure Laker fans are grateful to a
yeah.
certain degree,
I
but
don't know if that's the word, but there's something.
but they definitely mortgaged LeBron, Genie, Rob Pelinka, like they mortgaged the future to win a championship, which
100%.
is fine, But now we're in a situation where it's like, all right, all of those moves that you did to win that championship, now what? And
Yeah,
now they're feeling, um, now they're feeling the effects of all those moves to, like a short term, like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like immediate satisfaction. We made
right,
all these
right.
moves, we won a championship, but now for the next 4, 5, 10 years, we're gonna be in this spot where we're strapped on money or we don't have draft picks, and it's hard to dig yourself out of that hole. So, like you said, moving in an Anthony Davis, that might be their best bet of kind of getting back into contention.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
not this year, but by getting a couple draft picks, by getting a little younger, by getting some depth on that team, ultimately might help them more in the long run. But uh, I don't know. They got a lot of issues on
They
that
got a
team,
lot of
quite
issues,
frankly.
man, and it's going to be a tough task for whoever's in charge over there with, like I said, Robin Genie, whoever is helping out with that. That's a tough job to
Yeah.
try to turn that around fast. Then you're against the clock with LeBron too, because it's like, yeah, he's playing at this really high level still. That's a miracle, but you see the dude in the commercials, man. He fighting Father Time already. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Father Time is undefeated.
Undefeated. Undefeated. Um, I'm again, same thing with the Knicks. I think LeBron being in the playoffs or LeBron being in contention, being on a good team
Yeah.
is better for the league. Like,
Yeah, I hate this. I don't want to not see LeBron James in the playoffs.
yeah,
While
and
like he's playing in the regular season, nobody wants to see him play and not make the playoffs for two straight seasons,
yeah,
for
yeah,
3 out of 4 seasons.
yeah.
And the one
And
year they made it, they went to they went to the playoffs or the finals and won.
the bubble, yeah, the bubble year.
Yeah, the
And I
bubble.
mean, it's exactly to your point. you either love LeBron and you love what he does and you're rooting for him, or you hate him and everything he's about and you're rooting against him. But either
Yeah.
way, it's good for the league. It's good for TV, you know? So I'm truly hoping the Lakers turn it around. If for nothing else, for the sake of that, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
Um,
100%.
so speaking of LeBron, I want to get into we kind of teased it last week, and we weren't able to get into it. In part, you hadn't watched it yet, but we were just
Yes.
up against the clock. Uninterrupted in under Jesus
And,
in uninterrupted top class. The documentary following Sierra Canyon, the team that LeBron James Jr., which I kind of forgot that man's name is LeBron James Jr.
Yo,
Um,
the dude at the airport was like, "What's your name?" He's like,
yes,
"LeBron James." He said, "Oh, really?"
bro,
Said,
that
"That's
was
awesome." He said,
I
"Oh,
was
really?
like,
That's awesome." I was like,
that
"He's
was
like,
the
he didn't, he
moment. I
didn't
was
realize it
like,
was."
yo, I forgot this man. I forgot he's a junior. He's LeBron James Jr.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
my head, he's just Bronny.
yeah,
But yeah, I think we both finished the doc this week,
yeah.
and I really wanted to get your thoughts first on just the documentary in general, and then we can kind of get into specifics. But the documentary, like following a high school team around, is
Yes.
that something you're into? Like, is it something you'd want to see more of? Different teams?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, I absolutely love the documentary. I love the idea. I participated in high school sports and basketball specifically, and that was such a great idea. We, with Designated Report, we followed Danbury High School, our alma mater's basketball team around through their
Yes,
basketball
sir.
season last season. I probably do it again this year. I love the idea, yo. Like it's because it's pure.
Yeah.
Like these kids, they play because they love the game and they just want to win and they're learning all these things. It's crazy to watch them, especially this group. Like they're living a pro lifestyle. Like they're flying to Hawaii
Yes.
tournaments. They're flying away on weekdays, doing homework on the planes, and
Yeah.
taking staying in hotels and getting tutors. And then they got a trainer that does it. I mean, they're a pro style team, and it's just beautiful to see, man. Like, oh my God, if my son if he reaches any type of athletic prowess like that is the type of program that I
Yeah.
would want to put him in. Is something that's serious like that. It's so, and to see how serious the kids all are, and to see how locked in they all are. To you hear them say in the show so much, yo, we just locked in. Bronny all the time, we locked in, we locked
Yep.
in. Dylan Matoya, we just got locked in, and if we play our game, Amari Bailey, lock in. Everybody talking about it, and you want to know my favorite part of that show? Play hard, play smart, play together. That is
Yes.
my favorite part of that show. They say it every time, after every game, after every practice. It's so simple, yo. It's so simple. As a coach, man, like, yo, that hypes me up, bro. Play hard, play smart, play together. You might not win every game like that,
Yep.
but you're at least gonna be in every game if you do those three things. Play hard, play smart, play together. Any team will survive at least the game and compete if
Absolutely.
they do those three things. I love
Absolutely.
that. Loved it.
So in terms of the doc, I don't know how much I would want to follow another team. So like
Right.
I know Bronny James through like in knowing who he is, like I met Amari Bailey and like these other players on the team, right? I know Bryce James is coming up, so maybe they're going to continue it on what you
Yeah.
know through his high school journey. As like I don't know if I would want to watch another team, honestly. I think because we've kind of seen Bronny grow up,
Right.
I have a connection to him. So it's like, oh,
Right.
like I do want to follow this. If it
Yeah.
was just, I mean, it could be a great team. If it was another great team in California that they were following, I don't know that I'd be that connected to it and want to watch it, you
Yeah,
know?
like modern day. Like they could follow modern day, and I'd be like, oh, you know what? Like I wouldn't even know a kid went to modern day until he got to college, balled out,
Exactly.
and they're like, oh, that's the kid out of modern day. I'm like, oh yeah,
Exactly.
I hear that name all the time in football and basketball. But like, no, on some real, like it's not about us whether or not we'll watch it because these kids have brands in high school now.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
not just Bronny. Like there are
Oh,
kids.
no, for
There's
sure.
a. I just got done seeing a girl who's in high school right now. They're talking about her being bigger than LeBron James Jr.
I did.
Like,
Yes.
like more recognizable than her to the kids, yo. Like if we interviewed these kids at DHS, they probably know some kids that we don't even know on IG and on
Oh no,
TikTok.
you
And
definitely
like,
right.
yo, exactly. And like they have these big brains. So like they'll watch all that stuff. So whether or not like I watch another show, I don't know. But would they make another show? Could they make one? Would it be
Yeah,
successful? Absolutely. Because I'm
I
telling
agree with that. I
you,
agree with that.
it's a good product they got, man. It's like you see the emotion of it. High school sports, again, it's just the passion, like just pure love of the game. The parents and fans and the students, like it's just all the energy. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
So two things is I think anybody who if you haven't seen the doc, it's 6 episodes. I think the
Yep.
episodes are like 30 or 40 minutes each. So
Yeah, like just
it's
for
a pretty
just
fast,
over
pretty
30
easy
minutes.
watch. I would definitely recommend watching it. Coach Dre,
Oh,
I think he's fantastic first and foremost. But anybody who hasn't played high level or competitive high school, college, or beyond, I feel like it'll be a little bit of a culture shock when
right.
Coach Dre at halftime or whatever, he's going around the room and being like, "You suck, you suck, you suck." And I mean, it kind of is what it is, but
Yeah,
um, I also think he has such a strong bond
yeah,
with the players on that team. Like that's the only way that he's able to have those conversations and be that
exactly.
candid with them because ultimately he's trying to help young men grow
The
and then
goal is there.
ultimately
Yeah,
yeah, grow as men, grow academically, and then for the players who do want to go on and play collegiate level basketball, play overseas, play in the NBA,
this is what
to
it is.
groom them for that.
Yeah,
And I think I think he's fantastic,
he's
honestly. I
an
think he's so great.
unbelievable coach. Unbelievable coach, Coach Dre. And I implore some parents, if you do have your kids in the sports, to watch how he speaks to them exactly and understand that bond between coach and players. Like when you put your kids into sports, you're telling them, like the coach, that they are now your kid's parent, your
Yes.
son or daughter's parent.
100%.
You are giving the responsibility of them, what they're doing on the court or field, that falls on them, not even on you as a parent. Because
Yep.
when he does something bonehead on the field, they look to the coach. They don't look in the stands to find a parent.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Coach Dre, the accountability, he makes sure he shares it with the kids. He
Yep.
and that entire coaching staff, win or lose, those kids understand it. He always has a message for them to
Yes.
motivate them. He doesn't beat them down. He tells them the truth. When in
Yes.
that moment when he was going around the room, they were winning that game. They were up by like only, they were only up by like 6 at halftime.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
like, and he points around. We should be up by 50 on this team because you're doing this. Like you suck, you suck, you suck, and we're
Yep.
still winning. Like
Yes.
why are you guys like? And then that was like that's one of his biggest challenge. And that entire coaching staff, one of their biggest challenges was to keep the kids because they're kids and to
Yes.
keep they're all so talented to
Yo,
lock them in on the same day is so difficult. But when they do, it's like, look, I told y'all.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And that's one of the things that I loved about the documentary is we saw this dynamic of very, very, very talented basketball players, like
Right.
individually and as a team, like very talented, going to be great basketball players.
Yes.
On the other side, we got to see that they're kids,
Kids.
that they're 16, 17, 18 years old
Yeah.
and their interactions with each other and like the things that they're laughing about and like they go on the trip or they go to the museum or whatever and just that it's like they're kids.
Yeah.
And the other part that really hit me actually was the very first episode. And Coach Dre, he's like every year we do different things like team building and
Yeah.
this, that, and the third. And
Oh,
he's
this
like,
exercise. Oh yeah. No,
he's
go
like,
ahead.
we're gonna do a thing on vulnerability.
Yes.
And I don't know what happened to his hand, but and I don't know if he's ever told the story or anything like
Yeah, in the
that, but
first season he tells the story.
oh, he did.
Yeah.
So, he just kind of goes through and he's like, yeah, when he talks about his vulnerability in his hand, and he's like, that was the bane of my existence, and blah blah blah. And it got to Bronny, and you could tell in watching it that he like he's talking about being the son of LeBron James.
Yes.
And he's like, most of the time I'm able to block out a lot of the stuff. Like people
Yeah.
are talking about me all the time simply because I'm LeBron James' son. But
Hmm.
he's like, sometimes it gets to me,
Right.
and he's
Oh
like,
my God,
and
yo.
like, and like again, in that moment, I'm like, bro, like he's a kid.
Yeah.
And like
Having to
all
carry
the
all this weight.
carrying the weight of his father, his last name being a James,
Yeah.
being a LeBron James Jr., like carrying
Playing
the weight of
basketball.
that, playing
Just
basketball.
playing basketball. Like if
And
he
the
played any
fact
other sport, yo, he could just be a kid. They wouldn't
at a
even be
hundred
following him if he was
percent,
playing any
a
other sport.
hundred
If he was
percent.
playing football and he was All American, they wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
But because he's Bron James Jr. and he is playing basketball and at a high level, they're like making that's what the pressure is on so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So and again, that was like the most impactful. And then like again, seeing him in that moment, he honestly looked and sounded very vulnerable. But
Yeah,
then in other scenes, when you see him with his teammates, he's laughing, he's joking, and it's just like again, just that dynamic
yeah,
of like, yes, ultimately LeBron James, Amari Bailey, like these guys want to play in the NBA and have long careers and win championships and the whole nine. And their coach is going to ride them and try to get the very best out of them at all times. But at the end of the day, high
yeah.
school kids, like,
Just watching them go through life, like Shy
yeah,
Odom, man.
man,
Shy Odom, a kid. If you, I watched this show all the way back to this is the third season, going back to the
yes,
start first season. Shy Odom's been on every single like him, Bronny, and Amari are the ones who have been on every single one.
yes,
Matoya came last year, I think, as it was like his freshman year or sophomore year, and like a couple of those, but those guys have been there from the beginning of the show.
yeah,
Amari was like a sophomore when the show started, and Bronny was a
yep,
freshman.
yep,
And so it was like it's just been crazy just to see the vulnerability not only in that exercise but in general. Like Shy gets COVID when they go to this tournament after just
yep,
coming back from injury, and then
yep.
Amari's going through, he rolls his ankle,
Injuries and yep,
injuries and everything they're going through, and then to see like Matoya is you gotta like he was getting cussed out in practice, and
yeah,
they were always Coach Dre was on him when he was a sophomore year. But it's like, he's undersized, but this kid, he's one of my favorite players because you see his confidence go up and down. But
yep.
that kid, man,
I mean, you
he's
see him
a
hit that big
dog.
shot in Chicago,
Big
you
shot in
know,
Chicago for them from Amari, kicked it out to him, he knocked
yep,
that down. And then the last game, you see what I'm saying? Like he gets it again on the same play. Amari kicks it out to him, and it's always Centennial, yo. Centennial got him last
yeah.
year.
Yes, exactly.
Centennial got him last year. So I was like, dang, in this season 2 and season 3 in the same way. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. And and what I will say is I'm glad I'm not glad that they lost, but I'm glad that these aren't like all happy endings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where they win the state championship and Amari
Everybody,
rides off into
to
the
go to
sunset to
UCLA, yeah.
UCLA. Like, nah, like he lost
This
and
is great TV.
yeah, like he got to
Yeah.
live with that. And this documentary is going to live forever. So like,
Yeah.
I think again to Coach Dre's point to what we're talking about, like this is real life. Like you're not going to win every game. It doesn't matter how well you play.
Yeah.
You could have the best game that you've ever played and still lose the game.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
all life learning experiences, and I
Absolutely.
truly enjoyed the documentary, and
Yes.
I'm excited for season 4.
Next year, what? Bronny, Montoya, and the
Yes,
one who's coming next year, Isaiah Elohim. Look
bro.
out for that name,
Yes,
bro. That kid is gonna be special. He got the bunnies, yo. And his mid-range game is crazy. He hit all those little inside jumpers.
yep,
He's like Kawhi. He's like,
yeah.
he hits everything
I
in the
can see
middle.
it.
Everything in the middle. And he plays great defense when they needed him to step up in the playoff games. And because Matoya was defending, but they were like,
Yep.
put a bigger guy on him. That
Yes.
same dude that was on I forget what team that beat them in the division playoffs, but then they played them again in the state playoffs and beat them.
Yeah.
I forget
Yep.
whatever Oaks or whatever. Yeah, they went up and beat these guys. They put Elohim on him. He locked this dude up, their
Lock
best
them
player.
up.
He locked him down. Like, oh my god, I can't wait to see that group. And like, Bryce James, I believe, is going to be a sophomore next year, so we might
I
get the Bryce.
believe I would love to see them play together because Bryce
Yo,
James is a monster right now.
That's what I'm saying. All this stuff I seen over the summer of their AAU stuff, man, he taller than Bronny now.
Yeah,
He's like
yeah,
6'5", right?
bro. He
Like how?
he shot up, man.
It's crazy,
Like
yo.
blew past Bronny.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Bronny's gonna be a special player. Listen, the kid is gonna be whatever he does, wherever he goes, he's clearly gonna be an NBA player. But wherever
Yes,
he goes to college, whatever he does, like you don't have to be LeBron. He gonna be Bronny,
he's gonna
and
be Bronny. Exactly.
he makes his impacts. He has a lot of the same things his dad has in him as far as like mentality wise. You can see he's a defense first, play the right way type of kid, and that's gonna take him a long way.
I think
He's just
he might be a better shooter
yeah.
now than LeBron
And I
at
think
this
at
age.
confidence builds, that shot gonna start coming off more. Because
Yeah,
it's like I'm LeBron James' son, but I came from the Steph Curry era.
that's very true.
So all these kids
Very
shoot
true.
more, yo. He's like by the time he's a finished product, he might be a combination of the two.
No, that's scary, man. That's scary.
LeBron James' kid shoot like Steph Curry.
That's scary.
That's terrifying. He just coming down the lane, just yamming on you, coming down the lane, pull up from 30 up. Just everything. Doing
Yeah,
it all.
man. But I think again, the season, the just to jump back to the NBA season has been, I don't know, I don't want to say boring. It hasn't been boring. It's just been like there's been some things that we didn't expect,
Right.
but now we do expect them because nothing's changed. You know, the
Absolutely.
Brooklyns, the Phillies, like
Yeah.
uh,
The
I,
Milwaukee's.
the Milwaukee's on the other end, the
Yeah.
Suns, you know. So
The bad
I don't,
is the bad and the good is the good. Like I said, there's those middle of the road teams like the San Antonio's, Utah, Indiana. These guys are like sitting around 500. And then you got the teams that, like you said, the bottom of the barrel guys who you thought were going to be good, but they stink.
yeah, and
You know,
that
like
like
Brooklyn and these
they
guys.
that just might be what it is. Like they just
Yeah.
might stink,
I
and
think
we got to remove the expectation of, oh, you know, KD, LeBron, like they'll just figure it out. Like nah, it just might not be the
they
case
might
this
just
year.
stink. That's
Yeah,
it. So sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes it doesn't have to be all these different parts and pieces and things like that. Sometimes you already moved all the parts and pieces into place. This is the product, and it stinks.
exactly, bro. Exactly. Yo, I think we're good for this week.
Yeah, great
Um,
talk. Great talk.
we definitely didn't do introductions. I'm Johnell. This is my guy over here, Mr. Matt Price, Cash Walk-in. We are Designated Reports Heat Check. And Cash, you got anything that you want to mention, Knicks or otherwise, before we get out of here?
Nah, man, I just want to congratulate head coach Jock Vaughn of the Brooklyn Nets. He got that
Yes.
job. Congratulations and good luck, coach. For real.